All right, we got the red light going. Welcome to another episode of Same Storm, Different Boat. Today we're going to talk to a good friend from Nashville, Tennessee in the music business. His name is Andy Childs, um, a veteran of many bands and show even he even subbed and helped us out with a personnel issue a couple years ago, and it was great to have him on the road and in the show.
We tried to lure him.
I offered him everything except the keys to my car. But he's in a great band called Sixwire. Used to be called Remnants when they had a deal. Great players from different bands and great vocals, great players. It's just great. He's all around great musician and great guy. So welcome, Andy. It's good to have you.
Good to be here, Wayne and Rhonda. Thanks, guys, for thinking of me and reaching out to Tennessee today.
Absolutely. Well, we're going to dive into this thing. As I said, we've been on the road together. How are you adjusting to this whole lockdown? What's your routine and your just efforts to stay in shape and stay current and so on and so forth? What are you up to?
Well, it's I go out every day and walk in my neighborhood or walk or run with my dog. I have a rescue dog. She's half lab, half border collie. Her name is Kate. I've had her for 8 years, and she keeps me pretty active because the walk is good for her. She loves to go. We walk a couple times a day, and we probably do 3 miles or a little more, every single day. And then I have weights, I have free weights down in my garage, and so I lift weights about 4 days a week and just try to stay healthy and strong. I'm not a great cook, so my diet's pretty basic, but I'm good. I'm pretty good with the grill. So, I kind of trying to keep my health in check and resist the urge to snack a lot.
What about the throat? Are you doing any singing at home? You got just staying in shape there?
Yeah, I have a studio downstairs, so I've done a little bit of everything. We've been doing a few projects, so I found myself singing. I got kind of excited one night and just totally blew it out. That and pollen in the air and all kind of took its toll on me a couple of days. So for a couple of days I couldn't sing, but most of the time I'm working on something.
Yeah, I find she jokes with me. The LRB set, as you know, is an athletic adventure. So I sing it 2-3 nights a week and blow it out like that just to clear the pipes. And every night before I go into my cave here, she goes, "Have a good show, honey."
I think
that's a really good idea.
I think
it works.
I think he has like a little loop with applause on it that he presses after every song.
Thank you.
It's instant gratification.
Right.
Are you finding it tough to be home so much?
Not so much. I mean, I've traveled just like Wayne. I mean, I've traveled for 35 years before this happened. I think this is the longest that I've been home at a house since I began. And I started when I was a teenager working in an amusement park, and then went to college and then went on the road. So I've been, I traveled pretty solid for 35 years. It's unusual to have this much time at home, but there are parts of it that I've enjoyed, and there are parts of it that are a bit tedious because it's just me and the dog here. So, trying to obey the rules and all, I don't see very many people.
Right.
Yeah.
We walk slightly different paths for live shows, but what you do is very unique. Corporate shows where you're working with other lead singers and you have large audiences, and all of those things have been put into jeopardy. What we've talked about it a lot. I've talked about it with band members. How does it feel to you what that first show is going to be like when you go back, when you're able to walk into a big ballroom, a big area with a lot of people and hit the downbeat? How do you think that's going to feel?
I think that it's going to be more awkward and more unusual for the audience than it is going to be for me or for us. in all honesty, we're going to do what we do. We're going to travel together. We're all going to know who we're around, our personnel and the band members and all of that. We're used to being around each other. We'll all know whether we're sick or not. We're going to go on stage and do what we do. The audience, on the other hand, is going to be in a position of exhibiting behavior that they're not used to exhibiting in that type of circumstance.
Right, right. And I've speculated, what if everything happened a little too early and we walk into a hall and people are wearing masks and that was just I know that won't happen now, and the testing and whatever, but it's just an odd thing to not be able to speculate. But the one thing I know for sure is that we will be on the front lines of providing people an escape, a musical escape from what's out the front door. And in that regard, I'm really looking forward to it.
Likewise, I'm looking forward to getting back and doing what I do, because as an entertainer, this has kind of been my whole world since high school, and I can't imagine a world in which we don't have entertainment. But everything about our business, so the live entertainment portion of the business, everything about it is geared around people gathering. And it's not just us as entertainers, it's the people, it's all the personnel, it's the crew, it's the meeting planners, it's the hotels and the travel companies. Everything is based on people gathering. So I think, again, going back to your question before, I think how they behave is going to be, I think it's going to be more awkward for them than it is for us. Our job, once we hit the stage, is still going to be the same, I think.
Right.
There's been kind of two schools of thought floating around. One is everyone's so hungry to get back to live entertainment and to enjoy it because it is such a fun release for people. So there's one school of thought where people are saying they think they'll just flood to it. And then there's another school of thought that people are saying, well, it's kind of like the restaurants as they've been slowly opening up, people are really not going to them. Still a little fear involved and whatnot. Do you have a thought on either one of those, or somewhere in the middle, or?
I think it depends on the individuals, because it's everything is based. All of this behavior is based on fear. Even those that are making the decisions for us to be in this sort of imposed lockdown around the world, it's based on fear, even if that fear is based on fact. So I think that's the way that people are going to come back to it. I think you're still going to see a lot of fear. And I think it's going to be according to the individual. Some people are going to be elbows out and shoulders back and saying, I'm not afraid of anything. And they're going to, go about their lives and try to behave as they did before any of this happened. And then there'll be another group of people that is going to be so fearful that they either won't come or they're going to come, decked out in hazmat suit.
I would imagine that we're going to have to get a long way down the road towards testing. And we spoke to somebody the other day, Amazon, those huge warehouses that they've got stuff stored in and people working in, even the vendors that come in and out. Everybody's getting their temperature taken before anyone is allowed in the building. Something on that order is going to happen. And you're right. It'll be the Bravehearts that go, screw it, I'm going in. Or if that kind of stuff isn't in place, I would imagine most people just won't take the risk of going until they're really.
Maybe so. Maybe. I don't know. It's, I would defer to those, that know about this kind of thing, and those that know more about medical procedures and all, and about what good screening would be than I do. If we're there, or if Little River Band is there, or if we're there with a few guest artists and all, and we're there to do a show, then, we're going to have to be cleared, I suppose, and then go in and do what we do and do our show. As far as them taking everyone's temperatures when they enter a building or not, I'm not certain. how that's going to work and if it's going to work. You can have a temperature for other reasons than having this particular illness. So I don't know how that will work, or if that's going to be part of our reality. And it would be, I mean, I have my opinions, but that's all they are.
Well, and let's face it, when they implemented people standing at the door and looking in women's handbags when you go in, right?
Yeah.
That was really strict for about a nanosecond. And I can't tell you how many times I've gone into a venue now and they just kind of go, So how effective would it really be if they were actually standing there to take your temperature? You know, who knows? I don't know. It's like you said, I think we've all got our opinions, and honestly, that's just exactly what they are, opinions. I don't think any of us have a good answer for it. I don't know, but do you guys know at this point, do you have a projection when you might be, because I know for LRB right now, everything their first shows has been set for July. Do you guys know when you guys might go out?
We do. I mean, there's a show scheduled in late June that we'd love to do if everybody wants to do it. It's an outdoor concert, no guest artists. It's just Sixwire. And we feel like that's a pretty good environment, generally speaking, you know, an outdoor amphitheater where the audience can spread out. It's a free show. We'd love to do it.
Yeah.
We'll see, you know, that's late June, and I don't know if that's too soon for people or not. We're prepared to reschedule that show if they want to reschedule it. If they don't want to reschedule it, you know, we're okay being around each other. It just depends on whether the officials want to have that event. And I mean, honestly, in defense of Sixwire and in being kind of in charge of that, I certainly don't want to face any backlash that we're having a public event that we're a part of, and people think that we're being flippant about the situation. And I certainly don't want that to be the case, but there will come a time when there are going to be a few people that are going to have to take those first steps and say, if people mind their behavior, it's really okay to have an event. We'll see.
And that is truly an issue. Walking that fine line of, we don't want the backlash, but we want to do what we do and give the people what they want. Like, it is a really fine line to walk. It's been unique. We spoke to the band's booking agent yesterday, and you know, just the whole juggle of all of those shows from mid-March until the end of June, sliding them somewhere else. And then, like you say, who's going to be that first one? Who's going to be that first venue that, or, you know, that opens up and says, okay, let them in and let's do this. It's an interesting scenario for sure.
Well, if you went to the beach today in Florida, I'm not there and I've only seen a few pictures and all. There are some people that it might be a little bit of an example of when people are ready to get out and go do something, they're going to do it. And they may be throwing caution to the wind, and I'm not condoning nor criticizing. It's just that but it is a reality. There are people going to the beach.
Yeah.
So if there was an outdoor event at an amphitheater, or and a crowd wanted to go hear some live music and they wanted to take their lawn chairs and set them all 6 feet apart from their neighbor, then they're gonna do it, or they're not going to. And we have to decide how much of that do we want to be a part of for fear of what backlash we might have as entertainers. And I don't know at this moment. I'm going to leave it up to the officials that are organizing that event, and all my people are ready to do a show, and we'll do it. And if they decide they would like to postpone it, they have an alternate date in the fall, and we'll find out if they want to do that. And, but we have lots of shows booked beginning in August all the way through the end of the year, and most of those people are pretty optimistic that we're going to be having events. So it remains to be seen. Yeah. But they're on the schedule.
Are those shows reschedules? Did you have to move some from the second quarter into the back of the year? That's what's happened to us.
Yeah. Yeah, if all those dates play, we're going to have one of the busiest fall schedules that we've ever had, because we had a pretty full fall schedule already. So some of the shows that were canceled in April and May, or postponed in April and May, moved their dates to the fall, and they were pretty confident in setting those dates. And I told the clients that dealt with me, you know, we have an agent that does most of it, but any clients that I spoke to, I said, look, reschedule it. What's the worst that can happen? We postpone again. And so you may as well reschedule it and be ready. And if the world is up and running, we'll have an event.
Yeah.
In general, I'm assuming this outdoor arena type show is going to be in Nashville?
It's in the Nashville area. Yeah.
Gotcha. I'm just curious about Nashville in general. Her being a Nashville native and us having lived there 2 or 3 different times at different addresses, we've lost complete touch with the street, and we're told Broadway is a ghost town, just like Atlantic Avenue and Delray Beach, where we've worked a couple times together. Is Nashville? What's the general attitude in Nashville? Similar? Everybody's just kind of sitting, waiting to see what's going to happen.
It's pretty busy out there right now. I don't go out much, but it's not. So I'm not there to see it, and I don't go to downtown Nashville to see what's going on Broadway. I haven't. The only reason I don't go out much though is because I don't. My job is out on the road, and so I don't have any reason much to go out. When I do, I see quite a bit of traffic out there. If I go to the grocery store or to Home Depot, there's quite a few people there. Some in masks, some not. I don't know. It seems to me that Nashville is remaining pretty busy, except for, as you said, downtown Nashville, where Broadway is, where all of the clubs and restaurant and the tourism, the heart of the tourism of Nashville. From what I've been told, it's very slow and not open, and still not allowed to be open, I don't think, at the time that we're talking right now. So I don't know what's going on down there. I think that you're, like everything else that we've mentioned already, you're going to have business owners that want to get their business back open, and they're going to want to see customers because that's part of their economy. And I'm sympathetic, but I don't know what to tell people. I'm not in charge.
Right. Yeah.
I'm glad I'm not in charge.
Absolutely. Right. What is if you know, just from talking to other musicians, and I mean, Nashville's a pretty big hub for the music industry, not just artists themselves, but from crew people and all other people involved in the industry. What's the overall morale right now like? Do you know, or just from talking to other people?
With everyone I talk to, I think it depends on the individual. You have some people that are pretty optimistic, and then you have others that are pessimistic, like everything is just awful and, you know, we're ruined. And, you know, it's kind of, it depends on who you talk to. And also keeping in mind that we live in the greatest misinformation age that we've ever lived in. So you know, it's I'm not throwing rocks at any particular news outlet or anything, but you just don't know. I mean, you can if you're looking for information about when Nashville is going to be reopened and when musicians are going to be able to practice their craft again and all, you may get one opinion or one piece of news here, and within minutes you can click somewhere else on the internet and read something that says something totally different. So I don't I think it depends on who you talk to. The pessimists are pessimistic, the optimists are optimistic. But all the optimism in the world is not going to bring back a business that's not ready to come back. Another
layer to that, our crew, the bus, the companies, all of them, they all live in, they're all centered in Nashville. To add to that, Chris, our keyboard player, just moved from Vegas to move to Dallas. So we've got two stories about 2 hubs, entertainment hubs, where musicians and crew, the bus company, so on and so forth, have so far been lost in the cracks of all of the support from federal or state governments, including something as simple as unemployment, because, well, you're you weren't employed to begin with. You were an independent contractor working as a
Right.
musician or a crew member. Any
Right.
experience with your crew or your guys on that? I was shocked that those two hubs of entertainment were negligent in taking care of people that are getting hit the worst and don't know when they're going to get to go back to work at all.
Well, I don't think it's for, um, um, I think this is what I see every day as I get emails from the Musicians Union here in Nashville, from the American Federation of Musicians here in Nashville, and they are working on it and working closely with the state government. Every day they're working on it. We get updates every day about trying to smooth that process. Because I agree with you, it's very difficult to even prove that you were employed. And as as aid has been extended to people that are self-employed, even with musicians and entertainers, it's even still kind of hard to fill out the paperwork for something like that. I haven't applied for anything, but some of my guys have, and I'm actually not certain how successful they've been. I can tell you that there are organizations that have been a great help, or as much help as they have funding for. Like the Academy of Country Music has an organization called ACM Lifting Lives. They raise money to help people. And in this particular case, they created a fund using the funding that they have to help musicians. And they actually been very helpful. And I've been involved with the ACM for several years, doing entertainment all around the events surrounding the ACM Awards, which, by the way, were postponed. They'll now are rescheduled for September, and they're moving it from Las Vegas to Nashville now. But their ACM Lifting Lives organization granted some money to a lot of musicians and entertainers. I've received aid on that myself. And then also the Grammy Awards has, NARIS has an arm called Music Cares. Music Cares is also an organization that if people that are involved in music, even if you're not a current member of NARIS, if you've applied to that, there has been some aid from that as well. And some of our guys have received some aid from them as well. So but as far as just self-employment in general, I don't know, it's tough. It's tough to even prove that you are legitimately making a living in the music business. If you're, it's the gig rationale. You're even there's no way to even average what you make unless you're a really good bookkeeper. You usually have good months and bad months. January and February might be really slow for some people. For us, it's actually generally pretty busy. The summer is super touring time for a lot of people, but for us, the summer actually slows down just a little bit because we do more meetings and events and large corporate functions, and so we're not as busy in the summer as some people are. It's hard to even tell people what you do and how you do it, and it's very difficult to fill out that kind of a form.
Yeah, it kind of falls back to the old cliche, well, go get a real job, number one. But the other thing that I found out, because of the crew and because I take care of the books for the band and so on and so forth, I've been involved in helping anywhere I could to prove their employment, legitimize their form, and so on and so forth. So I've gone through the forms from different areas. The hardest form with the most detailed information and proof was Music Cares, which I found to be quite bizarre that a couple of the musicians went to Music Cares because there were funds there and they were eligible. It took me longer to fill out that form for them on their behalf than it did to do the state of Tennessee. But so far nothing has really panned out yet. So it's all kind of a moot point at the moment, but it was an interesting process.
Well, I also think too, I mean, you're not just talking about a small segment of an industry that needs this help. I mean, I can't imagine that Music Cares would have ever imagined a time when every single musician would be completely at a halt, that's got to be just an enormous undertaking to figure out what funding they do have, how to slot it and how to proportion it and all of that. Like I can't, more than I want to wrap my head around.
Yeah.
for sure.
I've always thought that any of those organizations, regardless of what's going on in the world, I've always wondered how any of those organizations decide who's eligible for aid and who's not. Because in our industry, whether it's touring or whether it's corporate events, private events, festivals or whatever, musicians and entertainers are one part of it. There are people, the businesses that are suffering that have to do with all of that are the bus companies, the sound and light production companies, backline rental companies, instrument rental and that type of thing, bus drivers. Imagine, you've got airlines and hotels are struggling, some that have had to furlough a lot of their employees and are running at 25%, if even that. The meeting rooms, the meeting planners, the destination management companies that help when a convention comes to town and or help to arrange all of their ground transportation to and from. Every one of those businesses, including the entertainment business, is out of business. They're right now, it's all completely been put on pause. And honestly, and this will sound worse than I want it to sound, but we're kind of last in line.
Yes.
When it comes to getting back to work.
Yes.
Everybody else that you travel for lots of reasons. You have meetings for lots of reasons and all, but when it comes to the entertainment industry and getting back to doing what we do, we're sort of last in line to be able to get back to work because everything that we do is based on people gathering.
Yep. Yep.
And if people can't gather, I saw somebody in Europe somewhere had a drive-in concert. I thought that was interesting.
Yeah.
Where they pull their cars up, and they've done some church services that way. I have friends that have done drive-up church services, and I have a vendor over in Arkansas that does LED screens, really big LED screens, and he can do some wonderful work. And that's a big part of concerts these days, are LED walls and the different types of things you can do. He took all of his LED screens and a big parking lot, and he created a drive-in. So he had to file a new business license to be able to be that type of vendor, but he shows movies on a big LED wall in a big parking lot over in Arkansas. I thought it was kind of fascinating. He found a way.
Yeah.
Sure is. You got to reinvent yourself.
But you're exactly right. You guys are kind of at the bottom of the totem pole, so to speak, when it's as it's time to go back to work. And it's that crazy word that we keep hearing. I guess music or entertainers aren't really essential.
Apparently not.
Apparently not. Apparently not. So
apparently not. But we may have known that. We may have known that going into it. A lot of when you start out, when you're a kid, you don't. Once you make that decision that you're going after it, then you're gonna win or you're not gonna win, and that it's a rare business for people to succeed at. But it's kind of different when you're one of those bands or entertainers or entertainment producers that's sort of in the trenches, like Sixwire is. We're not a household name, so we're like the working guys in the trenches, and we go out, we make a lot of different events happen, and we bring in guest celebrity stars to make our shows a little more noteworthy. But basically, we're still in the trenches. We had some records out, but nothing that put aside nest eggs that are going to take care of us right now. Right. So we need to work. We're okay right now, but at some point we got to get back to work.
Well,
just to clarify, I know you got that one more question, but I just want you to know you're a household name in this household.
Well, and I just want to add out there that the spot you guys did out there in Nashville for the draft, that for the NFL draft, that was
amazing.
That was a pretty big. Your name was out in front of not just a few thousand people, my friend.
Yeah, well, we're actually seeing an interesting thing because we've actually been the band Sixwire for 20 years this year, and this is our. I think the first time we stepped on stage was November 7 in the year 2000. The first time we stepped on stage as the band Sixwire. Now we like you said earlier, we were for lack of a better band name, we called ourselves the Remnants because we were what was left over from every other band we've been in. And then when we signed to Warner Brothers Records, we had to change the name because we couldn't clear the name The Remnants. So we actually sat in a conference room and created the name Sixwire. and so that we could release the record because we couldn't use the name The Remnants. So we had the album done, everything. We shot photos already. We didn't have a name for the band. So, and Sixwire is just a reference to a guitar.
Uh-oh, did we lose? Oh, there you
are.
are.
Yeah, sorry about that. I had a call coming in. I had to decline it. So this is, 20 years that we've been doing this, and interestingly, we had a couple of hits on the radio back in 2002, but since then, mostly what we've done is worked in television and live events, and that. Because of a lot of different television shows we had worked on, that led to us getting the call to do the NFL draft when they brought it to Nashville. And we had a great time. It went really well. We really, really hit it off with the television director and with the NFL. And they had invited us to Las Vegas this year to be part of the NFL draft this year. So we had our plane tickets booked and everything. We were going to be part of the NFL draft again. Obviously, they had to have a virtual NFL draft. And next year it will be in Cleveland. We've chatted a little bit about going to Cleveland and serving in the same capacity that we did before as their official house band. And we'd love to do that. Naturally, the city of Cleveland has, they want to sign off on whatever entertainment they have brought in. So we have to go in representing America and not just Nashville.
Right.
Yeah.
But you did such a great job at it, and knowing the cuts and the ins and outs, and you don't know when that team is going to announce. So you got to be ready.
Or who.
Or who they're going to announce.
Because the way that we went about the NFL draft, we went to every single team and found out what their game day, their game ops, what their game day touchdown song is. So if you're in the stadium at the you're watching the Seattle Seahawks, and if you're in the stadium and they score a touchdown, what song do they play? We wanted to find that out. So we did enough research and found out and we learned, we created short instrumental versions of every single one of those touchdown songs for every single team. So if Seattle's on the clock, as they say, and we're waiting to find out who they are going to pick, then the television director is in our earpieces. And as soon as he tells us who they've chosen, or if it's switched over to another team, if they traded their pick, which happened pretty often, we have to scramble and say, well, Seattle has traded this round pick to Dallas. So we got to quickly scramble and pull up the music for Dallas's touchdown song and be ready to play that. And when the director says go, then we got to be right there and play it. And when he says stop, we got to stop.
It's not easy.
That happened too. Because he would say, and the commissioner is walking out in 3, 2, 1. And so wherever you are in the song, you got to stop. But it's no different from doing some other television shows that we had already done, which is why we were able to do it. We served as house band on USA Network's Nashville Star, and CMT had a show called Can You Duet that we were house band for. They had another show called CMT's Next Superstar that we were the house band for, and doing things where we play bumpers going out to commercial and then back in from commercial. And so we were used to taking direction and doing that, and that prepared us to be ready for the NFL draft. So it's cool. We played at Super Bowl too, twice, which is pretty neat.
That's cool.
Very cool.
Yeah, we were at the
that.
Super Bowl in Miami. Yeah, it was cool. We were pregame entertainment as people are getting ready to go into the stadium out there playing for them. It's pretty cool.
I'm going to switch gears here just before we wrap it up. And kind of go, have you been able to see your sons during this, and how are they doing? And has this whole thing given you a different perspective on life or a different outlook, changed the way you think about things?
You got about another hour?
we're still rolling. Go.
Well, in answer to if I've seen my sons, yes. My younger son, Cameron, who lives here. He's a video editor. He lived in LA for 3 years and worked for NBC while he was in LA. And then he joined a larger production company that ironically moved their operation to Nashville. So after he had moved to LA and lived there for 3 years, he moved back to Nashville. So he's here and they're still working. And one of their biggest clients is CMA, the Country Music Association. They do a lot of their promo graphics and all that you see on social media and whatnot. And they have tons of clients, McDonald's, corporate, and all kinds of stuff. So Cameron's actually very busy and working, and he works from home where he has his editing suite set up at home. He comes out here to Franklin. He lives up in town. He comes out here to Franklin, and we shoot basketball, and so I've gotten to spend a little time with him. My older son, Daniel, lives in Florida, and he lives in the Clearwater area. Daniel has been a church music leader for a number of years, and he but also while being a church music leader, he also was playing little beach joints all around Clearwater and St. Petersburg, because he's a terrific guitar player and singer and songwriter for that matter. But he's done a lot of freelance entertaining while working for the church. And in a very strange twist, back at the first of the year, things were going so well with some of his outside work that he had decided to leave his full-time job as a church music leader at one church. And then he's leading worship for another church, but only part-time. And he volunteers his time, and then went to work full-time playing music at these various places around Florida. And it was going great. He had really gotten to the point where he felt like, yeah, I can do this full-time now, and I really want to get out and play some music. And it was going really, really great, because he's got a great solo thing that he does. He's just terrific. And then this happened, and they shut everything down. So naturally, he's anxious to get back to work too, because he would love to be able to hang on to his house that he has down there, and bring in grocery money. So he's in the same boat that we're all at. He's totally dependent on them getting back to business and having live events again.
He became non-essential.
Apparently, yeah. And then my mom is in Memphis, and I haven't been down there yet. I'm planning on going this week. I've been isolated long enough with seeing almost no one. I think I'm safe to go see my mom now. She's mom has a great attitude. She sounds exactly like she sounded. I call her every day, and she sounds just like she sounded 40 years ago. She's the same. She might not move quite as fast as she used to, but she's the same. And my brothers are also in Memphis, and they have families down there, grandkids and whatnot.
So you're a 3-hour drive away from, you can reconnect. That's a great thing. That's a great thing.
I can. I haven't yet. I've been here at the house and within a few blocks away for 6 or 7 weeks now. I don't know. Yeah. Something like however long we were supposed to be.
I'm pretty sure and your dog is probably the same way, kind of like, could you guys leave and give me some alone time?
She definitely looks at me funny, because I think it's almost as if she had switched loyalty to the house sitter at one point, but now she's used to having me around all day long, and we'll see how that goes.
Yep, that's kind of the way it is here too.
The dog's in charge. Andy, it was great talking. It was great to see you. Thank you for your perspective.
Thank you.
We all want to get back to work. I can't wait till I get to hear Sixwire play again.
Well, I appreciate that, Wayne, and I can't wait till we have a chance for you to come join us again on stage for a song or two. That's always such a blast. We, the guys in Sixwire, we're continuing to work together remotely because everybody has home studios, and on occasion we'll record something, just a favorite song, and we'll just throw it up on Facebook or whatever. And it's we all work in our home studios and then send it all to Steve Mandel, and he mixes it and puts the video together, because we video ourselves singing, and we'll throw something out there. And that sort of led to a couple of projects that we're working on right now, where we're creating online entertainment content or video entertainment content for a couple of big corporate meetings that had to resort to virtual meetings. Oh, cool. And so we're doing a couple of things like that, where we've pre-recorded some songs, and in a couple of cases we have a couple of special guests that are doing it with us. And it's an interesting concept, not something that I think will ever become full-time, but it's just something that we're able to do because we have the facilities and the know-how to put something together like that, and we know a lot of guest stars that we can bring in to do something like that. So that's pretty cool. And we're also working on that our biggest charity is St. Jude Children's Research Hospital. we had a big event planned that we were going to do live, that we are now creating a virtual live stream event. It's a big undertaking. It's going to happen towards the end of June, and we're not 100% confirmed yet, but we're about to be. And it'll be a complete live stream event, but it won't be sitting on your couch live stream. It's going to be done in a big studio space with special guest artists and kind of set up in the round. And there'll be live auction items and a way for St. Jude to raise funds at a time when all of their fundraiser events are shut down. So it's something that we felt strongly about and we wanted to try to do, and it's in the works. We'll see how it goes.
That's awesome though, because and again, that's something that no one really thinks about, because St. Jude has events all throughout the year. I mean, there was one coming up in St. Augustine, and you guys just got in the one in Palm Desert before this all happened.
We did. And raised $3.6 million. That's our record. That's $1 million more than what we had ever raised before. So it was awesome. A tremendous success. And the one in St. Augustine, we've now moved that to September. We're planning on having it. We have a new one that we're doing in Naples, Florida at the end of the year. And likewise, we plan to have that. I think we just added one in Austin, Texas, that is going to be sometime in the fall. So and St. Jude, they need to have these fundraisers. It's a gathering of people that come to play golf, see entertainment, and learn about St. Jude. And generally the people that attend these things have the resources to be able to help fund St. Jude. It costs a lot of money to run that hospital every single day. And they are mostly dependent on individuals giving. So, and that's their largest source, is those individuals that give. So we want to continue our work with St. Jude. It's very important to us. And as soon as we can be having fundraisers again, we want to do it. And, not one day later than we have to.
Please keep us in the loop about the date for that live stream, because we will definitely be part of that. We'll watch for sure. And
awesome. We will.
The thought occurs to me that stuff like that starting to happen could be a precursor to some doors opening where live entertainment is going to start up again. So you might be the canary in the coal mine. So
I'm keeping my eye on Walt Disney World and Disneyland right now. I'm actually a big fan. I like to go to the parks and all. And so I read their updates all the time. I kind of feel like when people are able to start going to the parks again, might be an indication that that we may be able to have events again. And I think also, if you keep your eye on them, they've always been very innovative. And if there's a way to figure out how to do it safely, I'm sure they're on it.
That's for sure.
Certainly they don't want to stay closed one single day longer than they have to. And but I've always admired what they do. They set a lot of marks for entertainment, and I'd love to see how they're going to handle this.
Yeah, absolutely. Hey, thanks too for going down the path of St. Jude, because that is a whole totally different mindset that people don't really realize, that, St. Jude relies on those big fundraisers. And
yeah, they do.
Thankfully, there's innovative ways in the works that, they can continue those until we can get back out there and all be in the same arena together with doing one of those fundraisers. So
absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, as a live stream event, the one that we're planning, if we're able to pull this off, it's a little bigger and more complicated than anything that we've done live stream before. But we want it to be at a level that is worth watching, because there's a lot of competition out there for your internet time, for the time that you spend staring at your phone or your computer. And so if you're going to stare at your phone or your computer and watch us for an hour and a half, then we want to make sure that we're giving you something really, really worth watching. And at the same time, give you some information about what St. Jude Children's Research Hospital does and what kind of funding they need. And those that have the resources will continue their pledges and keep that place running. It's a miracle, wonderful place.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you so much. It was great to see you.
We'll be watching.
Love you guys, and call anytime. I'm usually sitting right here these days.
Excellent.
All right.
Take care.
Stay safe. Talk to you soon.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
And you. See you soon. Bye-bye.
Bye.